Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 78 of Plate Stack Chat. Let's bring in our athletes. In lane one, Jason Croxton.
There's no cheering. There's no cheering. Like
it's all superimposed in the SiD
compared
anyway.
to when you would like call Briggs in. I let the crowd go wild. Yeah. Well, welcome everyone to Plate Stack Chat. If you're here on Plate Stack Chat channel, welcome. If you're here from Jason CF Media, just for this week streaming there as well. And if you by the end of this you like what you hear, don't forget to come on over and subscribe to Plate Stack Chat. We have now moved. We are now going live on Monday nights in the UK, at least, at 8 p.m. And that means that the audio version of the podcast will go up on Tuesday mornings instead of Thursday mornings. So just that. Obviously, Sam has been announcing some of the biggest names in CrossFit in Europe all weekend. And, you know, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get the same level of introduction. So thanks for that. I did notice, Sam, and this is going to make it an interesting podcast, that your voice doesn't quite sound as crisp and clear and smooth as it sounded over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It didn't sound great yesterday. The Sunday, the last day, the best day of Strength in Depth. But yeah, that's just due to, I mean, I obviously had a microphone so everyone could hear me, but where it's so loud in there's thousands of people all screaming at athletes. Even to be honest, even if thousands of people talking to each other, it's still really loud. So I am, yeah, I'm pretty happy that I can actually make any noise today. I'm trying to work on building sites. The reasons that they're coming up with of why I have no voice. Hilarious. Not any that I want to share live on somewhere where, you know, or someone's kids might be listening or something.
Yeah, in the car Tuesday morning, driving to school, and then they're going to hear all these filthy builders jokes. No,
yes,
we don't want that.
Absolutely, my friend.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about you today because yesterday I said to you, you know, like when I heard you speak, I was like, whoa, man, it's going to be an interesting day for you. And I was thinking about you today because I was initially thinking, oh man, Sam's voice must be like hoarse after all of this. And I woke up to realize that my voice was failing me. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't have a microphone all week, but I've been shouting for 3 days to the person standing next to me over the crowd and the music and the headset that he's wearing and just, yeah. So I was like, okay, this will make good podcasting. So if you're listening and or watching, as is our good friend Matt Wielden, I see you there,
who will also be very hoarse today. He was the head judge on the Community Cup floor, Arena 2.
So so we're a little worse for wear, but we're happy to be here and to kind of debrief, reflect on what's going on or what went on at SiD, because, you know, everyone else has done that. All the other podcasts, all the big podcasts, they've talked about SiD. They weren't there. No. We were there.
We were there. Were you even there? You were there. You don't know.
And Matt's chipped in with completely exhausted and can't talk. So you see, these judges are working hard. No wonder we need to pay a little bit more respect.
Maybe we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. I mean, and when I say we were there, right? Like
So I was on the competition floor. Yeah. I was announcing a great team of MCs this weekend. Myself, Shona, and Sophie. Sophie in the comments as well. I've never sounded sexier. Well, I would disagree, but you know, that's just me. I'm hoping Bruce is still watching as well or listening. But yeah, great MC team this weekend. And I'm not even just saying that because she chipped in, but yeah, it was great. I was literally on the competition floor announcing a bunch of names that I didn't think I would be able to pronounce without the help of my mum and Mads.
I saw that.
Mads from the broadcast. Yeah, and Mads from the broadcast team. He was pretty helpful too.
Yeah,
But
I thought I thought you did really well with the names. To be honest with you,
thank you very much.
I was very impressed. So yeah, you were calling.
What were
all the
you
events.
doing though, mate? Because you had an epic job for the weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, I to be honest, I felt a bit guilty. So Tom's not here, guys. He might be jumping on. You know, he's also been away all weekend, and obviously he hasn't earned enough dad points that like Sam and I have racked up over the years to be able to to justify another evening without kind of maybe having to swing things at home. So we'll wait and see. He might jump in anytime. He's got the link. So I got moved onto the broadcast team, which was cool. Really interesting considering I've spent the last sort of 3 weeks leading up to this watching the broadcasts. And complaining about the broadcast, and I've spent a lot of time in the comment section on the broadcast. Like, I love the comment section. In fact, John O'CrossFit, little shout out to John O'CrossFit. He was watching it the other day, and he sort of messaged me something, and I was like, John, jump in the comments. What are you doing? Like, don't send me a WhatsApp. Jump in the comments and get in on this discussion. So it's been interesting because every time I've heard people like make remarks, I've been sort of filing it away in the back of my mind, thinking, yeah, I don't want to make that mistake. But it's really tough. So I was working as a spotter. So we were like a little team of two. So there was two up in the stands, and then there was me and a guy called Reese. We were like by the
I'm just gonna turn around right now.
Yeah, if you're just listening, wonderful judge Ed Stowe has just put up #RealMedia, and Sam has done a little twirl to reveal his media shirt as well.
My media t-shirt, Strength in Depth semi-final, CrossFit semi-final event. Yeah, I want to talk through. So you just carry on your bit of what you were doing. I'm going to talk about the media team, like the broadcast team, because I had a real insight into that this weekend.
Yeah. So what I was doing is I basically had someone next to me who had a headset with a mic, so he was able to relay back the numbers basically of the field, and it was my job to be watching the event and sort of, okay, judge's hand's about to go up in lane 7. All right, now like 7 and 5 are both on the thrusters, 3 reps, 2 reps. Yeah, 5's going to finish first, and basically we're telling the cameramen where they should look. What's interesting is there's also that massive screen in the venue, so you can see what is being broadcast on YouTube. And quite often I would look over and be like, that's not what we've told you. So
I'm going to give you a brief insight. So Jason, did you get to go into the media truck, the broadcast truck at all?
You did. Just on the Friday at the
So
start.
All of us MCs had to have some amount of time not on a competition floor. Otherwise, I would have probably sounded like Darth Vader, or more like Darth Vader than I do currently. But I was really fortunate and in exactly the right place at exactly the right time on Sunday. So Sophie was on Arena 1 and Shona was on Arena 2, and I was sitting writing out sort of things that I was going to say about the athletes in the other heats that I was going to be doing on Arena 1. And Ollie, who is the competition director and founder, that's his official title, what he wanted to be called, said, Sam, come here. I was like, which he doesn't normally do. He's like, Sam, come here. You need to come into this meeting with me. I was like, okay, cool. Like we have meetings a lot because we have to do stuff like that. He's like, come. So we walked round into the media place and he introduced me to all these people, and they were all wearing their headsets and all that stuff. He was like, hi, this is Rothy. He's the director of the production team. And this is Eric. He's the producer. And this is Tommy. So we were working with Tommy. I was working with Tommy. Well, the MCs were working with Tommy for the broadcast. So he's the red hat. So he was the guy who was saying, like, basically keeping everything going.
Yeah.
So
he was my
side.
boss.
He was front side. He was on the competition floor side of the production team, and then you had Rothy and Eric in the back room. But I was fortunate enough in this meeting, they were like, right, you're going to announce the winners, top 5, the top 5 qualifiers for the games. And I was like, okay, dudes. And they were like, right, you're going to be on the broadcast, so you need to get it right. I was like, okay, don't screw it up. And I've got Gav and Ian and Ollie all looking at me like, don't screw it up. Which was really cool. And they were like, oh, come back here anytime you want, just to come have a look around and have a chat and whatever. I was like, epic. So I decided that I wanted to come, and I went and looked and had a chat. And we got Bruce Wayne in there. Just to cut that off quickly.
Oh, yes.
We got Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
in.
yes.
Do we know who Bruce Wayne is?
Yeah, we do, Antonio. Bruce Wayne is he's a legend in the. When I said I was spending a lot of time in the chats of the live stream, this is this man. This is I actually think Bruce Wayne is responsible for like Hiller picking up the video I did about the petition
Okay.
for Chase and for Chase Ingram, basically, because
Claire's saying Bruce Wayne is from the Savant podcast.
Yeah, he's one of the moderators in the chat there as well.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, kind of a big deal. Welcome. So he probably knows all these people too, right? So anyway, going back to for the mere mortals who don't know about this stuff, I went in to the broadcast truck, and this truck is bigger than my house. And I walk in, and it's like the Starship Enterprise. When you walk in, there's the booth with the sound guys, which is like bigger than my kitchen. And then there's another booth next door, which is sort of a bit bigger, the size of my living room, with 50 screens in front of you. And then there's the live screen, and then it's got all the camera screens around, and literally everything you can see in the venue. And Rothy and Eric are in there, and another guy whose name I didn't get. He wasn't at the meeting, so I didn't get to meet him. Then there's another room behind, which was bigger than, about the same size again.
How many rooms of your house are we going to go for at this point?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. This thing is bigger than my house. And then there's so that they must have been doing, I don't know, checking that the stream was okay. I didn't get to go in there.
Yeah.
Then there was another thing with people doing all the replays. So there was a whole replays room, and there was a whole all the people that were doing the stings and the bits that you see, the graphics and stuff. It was so cool. And I was watching the teams. I think it was the teams event 5, and it's obvious that Rothy has such an emphasis on the story, that just telling a story of what's going on. And he said, right, go, cue camera one, go camera 1, 6. Oh, he's going to win. He's going to do the world record. Let's go. And all this stuff. It was honestly, I wouldn't have been wanting to wear the headphones out the front, because you'd have just heard everything he was saying. And it was amazing. And when they were done, like that thing where they throw their headphones off, woo, high-fiving each other, and it was epic, absolutely epic. It was so much fun to watch. They obviously fun to watch, but so much about it.
It is really you're very conscious of the fact. I mean, you're very conscious of the fact. And that's what I was saying about it's kind of storing all the little things I've seen in the chat, and that is you're very conscious of the number of times you don't see someone finish on the live stream. And so you're like, oh, I need to make sure. And actually, and again, we might talk about this later. I've defended the judges recently. There is one judge who I will not defend. One judge that made me furious this weekend. And you should know this, because you had an interaction with him on my behalf. But during the team workout with Tom's just arrived. During the team workout, bring him in.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry. Announce him in.
In lane number 2, we have Tom Forder. Sorry, Tom. I introduced Jason that way, so I feel like it should be you.
Yeah. He's the voice of UK CrossFit now, so we got to...
That's so not true.
Anyway, actually, one little thing about the voice of UK CrossFit. I've got to say this, Sam, again, because we're talking about things I've observed on the live stream. One of the criticisms that you get the most is just say who qualified. like, stop drawing it out so like unnecessarily so much. And I thought you did really well in that. Actually, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there was like the pause, like a little pause, but there wasn't that like overly long, lingering, tormenting
So
pause.
yeah, so that's the interesting. So sorry, Tom, we're talking about the production and how Roffy just did an amazing job with getting it right. So that was queued. So all that was queued. So whoever's doing it longer than I did it is doing it off their own back. So basically, video guide on. So basically, we'll go to that in a minute. So basically, what happens is they give me when it's all done. So at the end of day 3, the team's finished, and there was a discrepancy somewhere. I can't go into that, but there was a discrepancy somewhere, and it took a little while longer than it should have to get the results through. And then basically what happens is, and then someone signs the results. It's either Drake or Ollie that sign the results, or both. Actually, I think.
Yeah, they both have to. So they like sign off. It's like nuclear launch codes.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I get handed the football. Then we go. But they literally give me it. I look at it, and it's got the team ones didn't have all the information that I wanted on it. So it didn't have where they're from or anything. It just had where they came, their points, and the team name, and there were a whole bunch of other stuff. But that was basically the information that I needed. And the first one that I did, you'll notice, and this is, I apologize if I have to, Noble, I will give my shoes back. If you notice on the broadcast, I said qualifying for the CrossFit Games is in first place. I didn't say the Noble CrossFit Games. I don't think they noticed. But I realized
of all the things that may have gone wrong that weekend, I think that's probably the least.
I'm not sure Noble would say so.
I do think Todd listens to this podcast, so he'll probably drop you a DM later.
I'm sure he will.
Or you're wearing someone else now, so that will justify it.
Like he'll drop someone else a DM, and I'll be cancelled forever.
Yeah, and Fran will come round and take the shoes back, chopping you off at the ankles in the process.
Absolutely. Although, they could have the shorts and the hat as well. They don't do my t-shirt size. Maybe they could do that, and I'll buy one. But so the first one, they give you the sheet, and then they're like, right, you're queued. So then my microphone goes live, and you get as long as you want to. Like, I could take as long as I want, but I was the first one. I was like, there's literally like. Well, I looked at it on my phone just before. There's like 300,000 people watching there was so many views on there or whatever on the stream. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a little scary. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. So I did it, but I did the first one, and then I went to do second place, and Tom was like, Tommy was like, stop. Wait. You're doing it too quick.
I saw him. He was doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. And
sorry for anyone just listening. It was a hand gesture.
So I can't take much credit. That's all Rothy's credit.
Yeah.
I'm just a cog in a very big machine.
Well, just going back quickly, because I dropped it and then I didn't finish up on it. The judge that annoyed me had nothing to do with like no.
They call that a hook and tease, by the way.
Calling anything like that. But basically, on the worm workout with the teams where it was 3 rounds, and they were advancing the worm. On the second round, we noticed that he wouldn't put his hand up when they were finishing the reps. And it was really, and this was a team that was like jockeying. So first, second, and third were really close. And I think they were sitting in second at the time, but they were so close to first. So when they went back to the rig, I asked you to ask him because you were on the floor and I was sort of a meter away from you. And I was like, tell him he has to put his hand up because we can't see if they're finishing the reps. And what was his reply?
I'm not sure I can say that on the stream. It was one of the head judges that I asked.
Anyway,
I said to her, I basically said to a head judge, can you get him to put his hand up, please? Because I can't see when the reps coming to the end. And he's like, he's just doing his job, man. That's like the most polite reason.
I was told we should be counting. Like I should be counting the reps.
Well, yeah, that's also true. That's also true, but it was a lot.
Yeah, but he's got to
more
count one lane and then put his hand up. I have to count 10 at the same time.
Can you not count whatever number of reps is required in it simultaneously 10 times?
No, I can't. You know I'm bad at maths, Tom. We've been through this.
So Sophie's just posted in the chat. Worst thing you can do is look at how many people are watching live. You nailed it, though, Sam. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, and Matt, Head Judge Matt, the Wheels, said the hand should be up for broadcast.
Yeah.
Which is true, but it's tricky. It is tricky.
Yeah, but it's tricky. So like he didn't do it on the second round. Fair enough. So we asked if he could do it, and he did not do it on the final round. And I was literally looking and I heard him be like 18, 19. And I was like, it's that lane. They're finishing. And I don't know if we got it or not because there was no warning. And
nope.
Yeah.
Well, Wheels has piped up again with a rookie mistake. Wouldn't have had that on the Community Cup floor, which is very true, actually. Very, very true.
So could we maybe just address that quickly, actually? We'll go back to like everything people saw on the live stream. But if anyone's listening to this, the stuff that will not have been talked about on pretty much any other podcast that's going to talk about this semi-final is how much other stuff was going on there, right? So you had the Community Cup. So you had the Community Cup. That was a 2 male, 2 female team competition with like local boxes throwing down. CrossFit Trowbridge, that is the sister box of CrossFit Bath. So kind of
CrossFit the Bridge.
Oh yeah, the Bridge.
Sorry, mate.
I'm going to say that most of the members were actually from Bath, but anyway, let's.
Don't let Ollie know.
Well, they're coaching both boxes, aren't they? Because they came second, so they did amazingly well. But so that was going on, and there was also a Masters competition as well. So that was brilliant. Then there was the vendor village that was like full of. I think like every day they were having different challenges on different booths and stuff. So there was like so much going on there. There's probably a very good reason for that with regards to setting up semi-finals and how to make it sustainable and cost effective. And after CrossFit have taken their cut, which is the majority.
we could talk about that later as well. Shout out, Wills wants to shout out to CrossFit RTV, whose actual name was Cirque du Soleils. Yes, I do remember every single CrossFit gym's team name. That's not true. I just remember theirs. But if you're watching and you want to, in fact, if you're watching live, and in fact, if you're not watching live, post in the comments your favorite bit. If you were there or if you watched the broadcast, comment your favorite moment, favorite thing. If you were there, favorite thing that happened over the week. It might be the 10-mile long queue for the meet and greet for Hustle Mate. I mean,
and another thing we should throw out, because we didn't mention, because we talked about what we did, and we should just say that Tom was also right there in the heart of the action. And if you go on kind of I've seen you credited on many of the captions actually on the thing, right? So
no, that was cool.
Yeah, that's
before I talk about that, we're talking about everything else that happened at CrossFit Strength and Depth other than the elite competition, and I think and you're right, it's perhaps not going to get the coverage that it will on, say, the kind of greatest podcasts, and the focus there is on the kind of who's going to the games.
Second greatest, come on.
And I think that's really cool, because talking of good podcasts, Peter over at Coffee Pods and Wads did a great job of getting inside scoop. You got to see how he wrote that to understand it's a play on words. And he spoke to Justin Burr, or Justin Berg, I don't know whether it's a silent H or not.
JB, I think is what they call him.
Well, that's what you call him now.
When you call him a big deal. No, I didn't meet him this weekend, actually. I don't think I was allowed.
And he caught him for a chat. And it's a great reel. I recommend you go onto Instagram at Coffee Pods N Wads, I think. And listen to it. And Justin talks about how what the team at CrossFit Strength and Depth delivered was an unbelievable upgrade, quote, on, say, the regionals format before, where you've got oversight coming from CrossFit more than, say, they had with sanctionals, but it's enabling the incorporation of community events, better brand activation, more independence to be able to bring in other brands and things like that. So I think it was there was an acknowledgement in those upper echelons that what the event team put together was phenomenal, both in terms of the elite floor but also the wider event.
Yeah. Well, I'm planning to do a video on kind of the cost of a semi-final, or like how it works a semi-final, and why these kind of things are they're so important, they're so needed if you want to make it sustainable, and especially when you think about the fact that regionals historically ran at a loss, right? So there's you're kind of going into your semi-finals starting in a big deficit, and then you need to work out how to pump that up. And the crowd was great, particularly like Saturday, Sunday, and especially, again, in comparison to a lot of empty stands that were seen in other semi-finals. Like obviously, like week one, Torian absolutely packed, and then it was sort of followed by a couple of weeks of, are people there? We can't see many people. So it was really great to have like the all the way around the stadium kind of the arena floor like packed, especially on Sunday.
Yeah. And that's down to the communities at the end of the day. Like, yeah, the elites are aspiring to get to the CrossFit Games, but the event and the spectacle is driven by the communities, which is driven by the affiliates. So, there's such a huge synergy there between, you've got the sport, but really the sport can only exist as I think some aspire it to, if the kind of affiliates and their communities kind of get behind it as well.
Yeah. So I'm just going to address quickly a number of comments because they're racking up, and I don't want to miss people out. Jake Brinkman, the better half of I 40 click scaled, says video guide on proper burpees when. Yeah. It's the second time that I've made a video sort of not defending, but like just talking about an athlete, and then immediately after they've done something to undermine everything I've said. But Jake, if you want to put together a video guide on how to do proper burpees, we'll send it along. Apparently Sam knows all the big people, so that'll be fine.
I certainly know their names.
Rochelle is watching. I thought she was working, but she's obviously got it on while she's working, so well done. We saw that one already.
You're going to get in trouble for that.
No, I know she went out to work. I know she's at work, but she's watching it. Obviously, I'm guessing this is Claire. It's not Connor.
Yeah, it will be Claire. Claire was there. I don't know if you saw. Did you meet Claire?
Of course, I saw Claire. Yeah.
Of course, you saw Claire. Yeah. Of course, you did.
Yeah. That's something else you didn't see on the live stream, guys. Like, this is why you've got to be there. One of the most exciting and memorable moments was, so you've mentioned that there was a little bit of uncertainty over which 5 teams were qualifying, and there was a bit of and obviously Mike Catras, friend of the show and friend of friends of the show, right? So we they'd done really well in that workout. Had they done enough? This was the question. Now, that question was going to be answered shortly in Sam's wonderful voice on a microphone, but some people couldn't wait, could they? They really wanted an answer in advance, and they were shouting from the crowd, trying to get Sam's attention. He can see them. He's deliberately ignoring them. He's focusing on what he's doing.
Oh,
so they take out their phone and try to call him. And I watched Sam just throw his phone into the middle of the competition floor. Only for like a minute or two later, a photographer to walk past and be like, there's a phone on the floor.
Yeah, it fell out one of the athletes' pockets while they were,
I can't concentrate with this going on.
Now, maybe that person's watching the live stream.
Maybe that's the comment on the screen.
Who's to say? But yes, that was.
I found it hilarious.
Oh, and look, see, Rochelle's just laughing. So she wasn't upset, Tom. Don't worry. It's all good.
Claire's in as well with "Don't You Dare."
Yeah.
Too late.
So yeah, wow. So yes, there was so much more going on there. So if and why I would kind of stress that is what I would say is if you didn't come this year, and if it is a semi-final again next year, and you think, well, I could just stay home and watch it on the live stream. Do I really want to go? I would say that there's so much more going on as well. So it's definitely worth going. And like
We've
you
got
can even like Sunday that
one last one from Wills, just quickly. Last one. Favorite moment from him: Tom Blay versus Will Kane, Masters 35 to 39 on the run at Row double under run event, which I hear absolutely went off. From I think Sophie was over there doing that one. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, mate.
That's right.
Just excited.
Well, one of my favorite moments of the whole. So I only got to watch one of the community cup events because it was when it was in the main arena on the Saturday, and it was sort of just before the teams were going to do the snatch ladder. So I watched that, and I watched Joey for the bridge basically miss the snatch twice, hit it, go up in weight, hit. Then he had like kind of the 5 seconds left, get the snatch up, catch it in the bottom, and just sit there. And he's just sitting there, and then he goes slightly up and back down, and then he just grinds it out and stands it up, and like all the Bath people and the bridge people are like there on the side, they're all screaming, and it's like someone you know very well, and I was like, man, I've been watching the elite athletes like throwing down and this has been the most exciting thing I've seen, and it's just someone I know from my box. But it was like, and that is why I think definitely go and get involved in like the community stuff, because that is the elites are the elites and they're incredible, but the community is the community, right? And that's what we're a part of, more so than kind of relationship maybe we have with the elite athletes. That being said, shall we talk about the big stuff?
Can we check?
Oh, right. This is notes. So I've seen him.
This is on. No, I just made notes.
Oh, yeah, I saw you.
Just put my monster thing in the background. Make sure
Unbelievable!
I know you love it so much. I'm kind of a big deal with Nocco now. They gave me a free hat, so I have to.
I saw that. I saw him walk up to you. I saw him hand you a free hat. I saw you throw that hat immediately on the floor.
It's green, man. I don't even wear green. Who wears green?
I tell you, I'm a
I know that John's Irish,
everything.
so he's going to give me a green one. Of course he is. But I could have used the green Nocco actually this weekend because I was drinking so many of the caffeinated Noccos. I didn't even know where I was.
Wheel said he had his first water in a can.
I think he's taken the mick out of the monster reference to that.
And Rochelle is adding that her favourite moment was when the boys from CrossFit Bath were being cheered to finish the workout, and all of the team was there to see them finish. So again, community thing. She says that, but I also watched her like be absolutely blown away by some of the women in the elite field on like the final events. So
yeah. So I'm gonna go in. I really like, if you haven't been on YouTube and watched Jason's latest video on judges and judging, then you need to go and watch that. Because
later, not right now.
Not right now, later, because we're currently live. So watch it after. This won't ruin it for you. But it is a very powerful way of talking about the situation. If you haven't seen one of Hiller's most recent videos about Catherine David's daughter and her deadlifts, because when I saw that, I was furious, absolutely furious at that video. Where do I start? This is where I start.
He's done it with other videos, with other semi-finals. So is it obviously completely understandable to be more protective?
So it's not protective. So I don't personally know the judge that it was. Okay,
I'm not really condoning it, by the way.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not. I
actually haven't seen Hiller's video either, so I can't.
No. And what I'm going to get at is the Hiller needs to get his ass on a competition floor for 14 hours a day for 3 days, and then try and make the calls that you need to make, having had zero sleep, having had zero rest, having had zero time to even think, and you have the split second to make a decision if something is right or not, and literally a split second to get it right. And when elite athletes are moving so fast and it's so borderline, it is nigh on impossible, right? And he also released a video about the cost of being a judge and the fact that we should pay judges. And now Jason is going to do a video about the cost of a competition, right? But I know for a fact there were at least 100 volunteers at Strength and Depth, and 100% at least 100, probably 150, maybe even more than that, right? So if you're paying your judges, which is here nor there, I don't disagree with the sentiment of that. I think it's a great idea. But there's another question to be asked there. Why do judges do it? Now, if you're listening, well, we know we've got some judges in the comments. So write why you do judging in the comments. I'm part of a team on Facebook, part of a group on Facebook called Team Judgment. They've got their Instagram page. Everybody is a volunteer, right? That judges. In fact, I'm one of very few people who's fortunate enough to get paid to be there this weekend. And I'm really I'm really privileged, and I'm really humbled always to be I'm always humbled to be on any competition floor, let alone an elite competition floor. But I will, and the reason that I'm annoyed more is because before it was not, it didn't make it personal to me, and I don't know the judge personally, but I know that the judging team were man down because they were judged down, and because they were judged down, because if you don't know and you haven't watched Jason's video, this is a spoiler. The judge didn't come back the second day, and there was a lot of speculation around that. Did CrossFit tell him not to come back? Did Strength for Depth tell him not to come back? No, he chose not to come back, probably because he was utterly humiliated. Because how I don't know how I would have felt if I'd have done something so utterly wrong on the competition floor. I don't know how I would have come back from that, just in my own self. But if someone had then picked up on it and got 20,000 views on a video that was calling me out for something that a decision that I made in the split second, and then put a reel up about it, saying I didn't see Katrin David's deadlifts, but apparently neither did the judge. Like, how? And I know that Hiller, I don't dislike Hiller, right? We have some mutual friends around, and and that's okay. And I know he's not even necessarily picking on the judge. He's sort of, I hope that it comes from a good place. I hope. I think it
does. I think it does. And actually,
I agree.
I like Hiller, and I've actually had conversations with him now, and we spoke over the weekend actually, and I don't have an issue with him calling out Katrin, and I don't say it in the video whether or not how I feel about her reps. And throughout the competition, I may have spoken to different judges about different athletes or different, people that were there of my opinion on different things. And that isn't the point of the video. It's not me saying, well, this judge was right or this judge was wrong. It's just trying to sort of step back and look at the bigger picture of, for Katrin, she gets paid at the end of the day, whether she does well on, like, obviously she gets more money if she wins with the prize kind of thing. But, she's established enough in it now that this is good for her no matter what. And the problem is that what you need, and somebody said to me something about like not, I don't know about trying to, like, there've been a lot of comments on the video, and it was like about not kind of, you're protecting them, or they, they have to take responsibility. And I absolutely agree with that as well. But what I think is that there's a structure in place, and what needed to happen was someone above him in the hierarchy of judging and the competition takes him aside afterwards, can explain that maybe, if they felt the reps weren't good, can say, look, this was the standard, this was the mistake, this is what you did wrong. And then, look, let's get you on a lower heat where there's less pressure, get you kind of like help him become a better judge. Now he's not going to judge. He's probably never, he didn't judge on Sunday. Maybe he's never going to judge again. So instead of helping to get better judges, we're removing judges, right? Because people will be like, well, I'm not going to. And if you've never judged, like I mean, we had Ed on like quite some time ago now on the podcast, and the question was, why would anyone judge? And that was my question. Like, right, it's so high pressure, it's so stressful. Nobody commends you when you do a good job, but boy, do they let you know when you mess up. Like, why would you do that? Well, now even more so, why would you do that if you know that you're also, there's the chance that everyone's going to jump on it? And I think it's with Hiller. And it was funny, I've got a picture of somebody getting a picture of Tommy Marquez, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, and he was wearing a CEO t-shirt from the Savan podcast." And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wearing that." And Tommy was like, "No, it's fine. Savan's like, I don't have a problem with Savan." And I was speaking to Tommy about that afterwards, to the next day, and I was saying, well, like, I don't think he does have a problem with Savan. What I think can be an issue is, the fans or the people that follow it that become overly enthusiastic and start piling on. And I think that's a similar thing with Hiller. Like, Hiller will call someone out and he'll explain why. And I don't think he's necessarily mean. I do think he wants it to be better, but then it's the pile on. It's everybody else like jumping on and what they're saying about the judge. And I think that's where, at this point we're tearing down, but we're not putting anything there to better, right? Yeah. Bruce Wayne wants to know what the head judge was doing. The head judge did.
I can tell you exactly what the head judge was doing at that point. Good, you carry on, and I'll tell.
No, go for it. You go for it.
So
I just was going to say that I know that he did speak to him. That's all I was going to add, but maybe you know more details than me.
And not in the video. So the reps, and this is again, it's another thing where you pick 10 reps, right? So what you didn't see was all the no reps. So yeah, she went 50 unbroken. She didn't go 50 unbroken. She went like 57 unbroken because there were no reps in there. And the head judge was stood on. So there were 2 head judges on the floor at any one time, but they don't stand in the center of the competition floor because it doesn't look good on broadcast. So they generally stand to the edges. But it just so happened that this heat, they were stood at different sides of the same side, which wasn't that side. So I was there, and this person's doing this, and this person's doing that, and this is going on, and that's going on. And then I was looking around to see what was going on, and I just went, and then at that point, there were like 4 people around that lane, and that was on the way back, because by the time 50 deadlifts goes like that, I think she'd finish those in under a minute. So, and at the beginning of the heat, everything's going crazy. Like, everybody's just doing their thing. You're trying to make sure everything's going on. Everyone's got their own jobs, things like that. And the other thing is, you don't have, especially for things like double unders or things like that, you don't just have one judge. So there'll be one judge on the floor, but there'll be another judge watching from not on the floor, the judge that's counting, but for appeal purposes. So if an athlete says, my judge made me do 55 instead of 50, then they go, my judge made me do 55 over 50. And then they give that to whoever does the appeals. I know who it is, but they give it to the appeals team. The appeals team take all the judges from that lane and go, what happened? And then they discuss it. And then the head judge and the person who deals with the appeals comes away, makes a decision with the event director, and that decision goes forward. That's literally how it works. So there's not and that's the difficulty. As soon as you get, because again, Hiller wasn't there. Like, if Hiller was there, he'd have seen it and he'd have been able to go, you know what, they're not reps. But then there's no need. It's difficult. Do you know what I'd love? I'd love Hiller to come to an event, but he won't. A, because he doesn't pay, which I think is disgusting. I would. Don't tell Ollie. I'd have done it for free this weekend.
Most of us did.
Well, no, exactly. No, exactly. But I'm not. But what I'm saying is, I'm not in a position to call someone out for not doing it for free because I didn't do it for free. But that doesn't mean if someone offers you money to do something you're willing to do for free, you'd be stupid to go, no, thank you, it's fine. Especially currently. I'm not saying people shouldn't be paid. That's an aside. What I am frustrated with is people generally do it because they are part of a community and they want to build the community up. And when you're putting out YouTube videos saying that you're trying to build a community and make it better and this and that and the other, what's actually doing is you're just kind of burning it down.
Well,
Because
I don't know as well, though. I think
it's the
a big
polarizingness
difference
of it that burns it down, because what you're trying to do is and not intentionally. And again, this is not, Hiller's not the only person that does it. Everybody does it in the world at the moment. And people might think that of me. You know, if I had 50,000 followers or whatever, they'd go, oh, Sam just said, you know, Hiller's an idiot for doing this, this, and this. Yeah, that's exactly right. Let's go and get Hiller. Let's, you know, that people do that. That's not what I mean. I'm just frustrated that someone is so hurt by what happened that they didn't come back the next day. And not just that then the team was down a member, a valid, really good member of the team who maybe made a mistake. It's just sad.
So a couple of things. One, I think there's also a big difference between like a lot of the stuff that Hiller's called out. We're talking of like standards being upheld have been, you know, more like all the virtual stuff, all the online stuff where there's been very clear rules written that haven't necessarily been applied. Like that's not judging error. That's video review. That's like clear evidence, like, you know, or the penalties that have been assessed that sort of haven't really been applied the way. Like I think there's a difference there because they are the people being paid to do that job. That's their job. That's all they've got to do, kind of like for that thing, versus, as you said, like somebody who's just giving up their time to be there. So I would put that on one thing. I also think, I obviously think that when you have good intention, sometimes you've got to do things to get attention. So, you know, I think maybe there's a persona that you have to put out that might not necessarily, you know, maybe who knows, maybe for years he has spoken out in a calmer way and been ignored, and this is now the way to fix it. And that passion is good. Like he brings passion with him. So I think that's all really good. And I don't want the video that I made to be, it's not me calling out Hiller, because then I'm doing exactly the same thing that I've just like sort of talked about here. It was just, well, this is interesting because we all saw this publicly, but then what didn't we see afterwards? And that I think there would be a better solution to hold judges accountable or to help them be better judges. So I think that's interesting. I just want to go through like a load of things that have just, you know, people are chipping in, and I think that's great. Where do we even start? Oh, let's just quickly throw one positive from Tom. Kendall says his favorite moment was getting to judge on the main arena floor with his better half. So I think that's lovely. So there we go, bit of positivity. Ed is basically a similar thing of, obviously this helps build the following, which, you know, isn't necessarily a bad thing if that's what you need to do to be noticed. Matt was talking about they had a judge verbally abused on the outside lane by a group, including a coach, which, you know, is even worse. Like that's even worse than what kind of Hiller's doing, because you're literally there watching it and you're screaming at that person in the face. I think is quite terrible.
And that's on the community.
That's
floor,
on the community
right?
cup floor. Yeah.
Because there's a bag of food spring stuff on the line.
Yeah. Right. Sophie has done a quote. Bear with me. It's in parts. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or where the doer of the deeds could have done better. Doer of the deeds. That makes more sense. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred in the dust by sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause. Should have pre-read this. Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. Final bit. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. So I think that's a poetic way of saying, like, you kind of got to be there, right? You've got to be on the floor, be in the trenches to kind of experience it. What's this? I just want to see what Bruce Wayne has added. You're not the first one to say something like that about him and his narrative. Oh, I don't know what you said.
I think that was off the back of what I said about him not being there. making the narrative at the same time. Like, yeah, I
I
don't
just-
I
one
don't
more comment I
apologize
think
for
is
that
interesting. So this is Matt. So we've said he was head judge, community floor, and what he's saying is this is very much my sentiment in the video. Maybe is that Hiller's not wrong in what he's saying,
No,
but and then it's not even that he's hounding people. It's just the nature of social media, isn't it? That's what happens, and you know, and what is a shame about that is I think is that's now a narrative, and like I would rather talk about, and actually I say it in the video, right? Is that like that event? All we're talking about is, and this upsets me. All we're talking about is Catherine's deadlifts. Tori Helgadottir, come on. Finally, she's winning an event, like beating Catherine, and we're still not talking about it. What does she have to do to be the most famous daughter? I don't know. Oh, but I met her and she's lovely and I had a really nice chat with her.
she is incredible.
And you know what? On Sunday, so I met, you know, I had a few nice chats with quite a number of the athletes. I didn't, you know, and when I was walking there on Sunday, I said to Rochelle, you know, the only athlete that I really want to talk to is Helga Dotte, because you know, fantasy fitnessing, I've been picking her for like from when we began, right? I was like, she's underrated, she's my bargain pick, she's so good. And I got to the point where I was like, I think I might just ask Holly if he can like where is she, and maybe, and you know, I didn't do it. I was like, no, Jason, you've got standards, you're not that guy, don't do it. So I went back to my locker to get my bag to leave the venue, and she was where the athlete area bit there was, the recovery zone, just on her own, well, with somebody else, but like just them there. I was like, oh, it's now or never. So I went over, I told her how I thought it was outrageous that she's sort of, you know, always seems to be forgotten because she's been so consistent over the years at the games, and she's done like a incredible performance this time, and you know, all nice things. She was very friendly, very nice. Rochelle got a hug, I got a picture, and we went home. And then Rochelle's just corrected me that she actually got 2 hugs, so one at the beginning, one at the end, and then we left the venue, and it was quite weird walking out of the venue because I almost appeared to be part of Christoph Horvath's entourage as I was leaving. All the doors were closed. We all had to go out the same door, and then we're like walking down those metal stairs, sort of all together. And they were all speaking, you know, amongst themselves, and we were just sort of standing next to them, walking down. And there's nowhere to pass. There's no way to move out of the way. I'm just hanging with Christoph. He's completely ignoring me, but here we are. Yeah.
I think we should give Tom the floor now for at least the
Tom.
next 5 minutes, because I know that he needs to shoot off at 9 as well. So you have the floor for as long as you want it, Tom, because you have been literally sat at a desk all day for 3 days.
And today, back at work today.
And today, back at work. So you've been working probably the hardest out of all of us this weekend to make sure things are happening.
Oh, no, I think everyone was working hard in their various different ways. So I think, I'm really pleased to see that SiD put up the volunteer post today. Because I think it really gives a snapshot into like the number of people that that kind of like sacrifice their weekend, right? And then those that sacrifice months, right? And I had a quick chat with like Gav and Ian, and they were like, yeah, the role they played, it's been front and foremost in their minds, if not their hands, for a large proportion of the year. And I think it's a phenomenal weekend. I've already said, you know, for the community to come together. But no, I think it's you know, you guys have kind of addressed, and those in the chat as well have addressed the kind of critiquing those who are doing a great job out of the goodness of their heart, you know, and it relies on those that are willing to kind of do it for the love of the community and the love of the sport, really.
So we've just had a comment in the chat from Wheels. So we've had Sam's name drop and Jason's name drop. Let's hear yours, Tom.
I don't have any. I honestly was just running. I typically sit at the back of the stands with a clipboard, watching the event unfold, then run down out the back and then sit at my laptop and write it up.
Yeah. Tom is basically the English Brian Friend.
No, and to be honest, I there's a picture Brian Fenn posted. I think someone got a snapshot of him, and he's in a stairwell, intently poring over something. And he talks about how like from the minute you're there, you're like numbers and things. And I've been doing that stuff. I did it all through last season. I've been doing it this season. But I think when it's the first time doing something like that for somebody else, like doing it for the strength and depth feed, and doing it in a different way, right? It was more about narrative in the captions. So it was a good opportunity, but it was the first time I'd ever done something like that. So no, it was cool. I should say, actually, I'll try and do a name drop. I did go as far as to introduce myself to Tommy Marquez, because I've had him on Talking Fitness, and it was cool to talk to him. He was gracious with his time way back when I had him on the podcast, and it was nice to kind of talk to him as someone else who tries to help create the stage that the athletes perform on. So,
and you got a friend of the show, like little medallion thing, right?
Yeah. So
come on, you're an official friend of the show now.
But yeah, and the name drop I'm going to drop right for this weekend, the real MVP, that's the phrase, is my wife. Like I left my wife at home. She was like,
because I'm like 99.9% sure you were about to say Samantha Briggs. I'm like, I was ready for that. You zigged when you should have said. I'm very impressed.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, because I left a 5-month-old baby solo parenting on her own for the whole time. So I think I was doing hard work. I think she had the tougher job this weekend. I know she had the tougher job this weekend. So that's my big name drop.
Nice. I like it. No, but well, I think all of SiD should thank her, because you did a great job, and you really helped. And what people maybe don't know is that, like, while you were doing stats and the narrative, like basically following the narrative of the weekend, and that was great for like the media posts and things. I know both Sam and I benefited personally from like basically borrowing some of the work you did to help us look better.
That was going to be my next comment. Tom, well, in fact, it wasn't just you and I who used it, Jason. And Tom didn't even know that I'd done this until I told him after I'd done it. So Mads and Tommy were both using it on the live broadcast for the CrossFit Games, for CrossFit.com. So and I haven't watched through the however many hours of broadcast there are, but the proviso they were giving it, or that Mads was giving it from me, was that he credited you if and when he used any of the information, because it was very useful. If you're wondering what we're talking about, Tom made and I guess still has a crib sheet for all of the athletes that went to CrossFit Strength in Depth semi-final, male and female. I mean, you didn't do teams. I was a bit let down by that, but male and female, and it had their qualifying place, obviously their name, where they were from, and
favorite food, favorite color,
where
they went to school,
shoe size, or everything. No, but
you could basically like go. I forgot my password for any one of those, and you probably had enough information to get into their accounts.
You make me sound like I'm some sort of stalker. It was focusing more on their kind of competitive history. But no, and I guess the other thing I'll say is like so I ended up not actually using a lot of that material myself, because I focused more on what happened on the weekend, and an Instagram caption isn't really enough space to get like a bio in on every athlete, especially because we were covering in one post, we'd cover the top 3 athletes and top 3 teams from every event. So it was going to end up being a little bit too chunky to kind of be like, oh, and Jonakoski going for his whatever did really well at in this event, in this competition. So I'm pleased that information was useful, and I appreciate you kind of acknowledging that. But if it helps to kind of promote the athletes, then I've done my part really. But one thing I will say, and what I got out of it more because I watched so intently, is I had a little more insight into like what was on the line through the events, and I'm trying and get some of that out. I don't know how, try and get it onto paper, try and get it into some sort of content, because there were some incredible competitions that happened across the, you already talked about kind of like, CrossFit Aylesbury Team Tap, right? That journey they went on from Friday through Sunday is just one of many kind of stories, right? And we've talked about stats making stories, and like the leaderboard and really breaking it down has some phenomenal kind of achievements and heartbreaks, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I think as well, like it's so interesting to see the aftermath of everything, like because you're there when the cameras switch off and you see the athletes. And I want to say something, but I feel like I'm going to get called out by Wheels if I do. But another name drop. I had an interesting conversation with Solveig on the Saturday.
She's so nice. I was expecting her. She comes across as like super focused, super abrupt. Like she's just such a lovely person.
So I was, how do I do? So I was talking because she didn't approach me, but I was speaking with Tommy, and Snorri and Solveig came up to speak with Tommy as well, and she was like so down because she had a kind of a disaster for that final workout on Saturday, right, with the handstand walks. And Tommy was like, "Oh, how did it go? And how you find it?" She was like, "God, today was a disaster. Like it was terrible." And I just said to her, like, "You had an event win. Like you hit." And I said, "Not only did you have an event win, but you were smart because you went 103 in the previous heat. They'd gone 102, so that 1 kilo got you the 100 points." And that might sound like crazy, but in the men's heat, he tied it when he tied it,
won it.
everybody looked at him was like, I reckon you had more than 1 kilo in you, but like you could have put 1 extra kilo on the bar and you'd have got 100 points. So I was like, you've had this amazing, and then like even that workout, somebody asked me, how are you going to do that workout? And I said, oh, I think she's going to absolutely smash the kettlebell deadlifts. And she did. Like she was so fast for that. Yeah, the handstand walk was a problem, but it was one element of like you did really well in this workout, but there was this big kind of block there. But you're going home like, what a disaster this day was. You had a great day. And it's just interesting to see, like, obviously, I guess we all focus on the negatives, but I mean, she was still in a really good place going in on Sunday. Actually, like Sunday was exciting. Everyone was in contention, weren't they? Although like on that final workout, I mean, Annie won it, but I was looking at the leaderboard, and if she, not Annie, sorry, Catherine won that, the final workout, right? And that got her 100 points. And if she had 100 points added to her score and you didn't add points to anybody else's score, the best she could have got was 4th. But then, of course, everybody else gets points too, right? So that, there was really, there was no way. Like let's say,
Catherine did everything she could in that event, and it wasn't enough because, as you've described it, it needed there to be more people between her and those in the kind of in the where they ended up above her.
That was my thought really. She smashed it, obviously, and there are some things as an MC like you really want to say, but you just can't say. Like, and that was one of the things I wanted to say. Like Catherine, and coming over the line, Catherine Davis, and then after that, I was like, thinking I was going to say, and Catherine needs some of these people to not finish this workout in order to.
She needs all of these people to not finish
this workout.
I'll give you a story. I know I said like about the leaderboard, and I'll give you one on the men's side. At some point, I'll try and put it into content, but for people listening to this, so talking about what Catherine did there, Yona Koski was in a very similar position. Went into the last event in 9th. and he came, I think, second or third. No, third in that in that final workout. And I remember looking across the floor, and you've got I think Anton Domain.
And Tom Dumois.
Yeah, well,
So
you're the
it's
man with the names, right? Screaming at the guy who finished in so how do you say it? Guillaume Briand?
Guillaume.
Guillaume
like
Briand.
like Gium. Guillaume.
So the beautiful thing there is both of those guys are from France, right? And so they're screaming, and so Anton's screaming at him to just like keep going. Or Domain Anton, right? That way around, right?
Yeah.
So
it does it.
and Koski's on the
mind.
floor having finished, and if Briand kind of came one place, and he came 19th in that workout, that final workout. If he dropped one more place in that event, Koski would have jumped him, because he was like only 2 points behind. So it literally was that close for Koski, and there's just this. So I was that was just one of those examples of where like the detail just really creates kind of quite a rich picture. So
I will say, in defense of the conversation we were having earlier, I do understand why no reps and standards
Matters.
and all of this is such a big deal, because the smallest margin can change the entire narrative. Can change who's going to the games, can change who's going to the last chance qualified. So I absolutely get that, and I do think we need to address it. And I just think that highlights nicely how, like, why I guess people are so precious about it and get so fired up. But maybe it's not always the right way. You said you had one on the women's side as well.
Oh no! So the David's daughter one.
Oh, the David's daughter.
There's a woman.
Yeah. The one that even someone as lowly as I was able to work out with the data provided. So yeah.
So the thing, and that comes back to it comes back to the judges. So I was sitting with the head judge very, 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 very early in the morning on Saturday night, and we were talking for a good hour and a half about how, and he's not the sort of guy who sort of pours his heart out at all. And he was basically like telling me how devastated he was that one of the athletes, basically, Yulia Blazhikowska had a block for when she was doing, I think was it a toaster bar workout that the women were doing? It's all merged into one for me. But basically, she had a block, and she wanted like the base thingies, but we didn't have any, and and it needed to start. And he felt like he had ruined the whole day was ruined because she had to use a block instead of what she wanted to use. And he was absolutely devastated because he cares so deeply about each and every athlete, and he's not the sort of guy who comes across as if he cares about each and every athlete. He's very to the point. He's very, you go and do that, and because you don't have time in that environment. You don't have time to get it wrong and then do it again. So you have to make a decision. You have to just go with it, but then you reflect, and he was honestly devastated that he made a difference to one athlete, and I was sort of sitting there like really sad about it, because he obviously cared so much that he was thinking about it, and we had like an hour and a half conversation about a 2-minute overrun, and that's like, Gav and Ian running, or Gav with the Gav with the overall arch of both floors was like, we messed it up. Everything's messed up. We finished 30 seconds late today. Like, Gav, it's 30 seconds. It's like a 12-hour event. Yeah, but it was 30 seconds. I was like, oh man. But this is how seriously these guys take it. They are genuinely devastated when anything goes wrong, whether it's a time delay, whether it's an athlete who has a problem, whether it's an appeal. Like athletes get to appeal their score if they feel like something's gone wrong. Do you know those appeals are deliberated for hours, like hours at a time, which is just, it makes me so sad. But it obviously shows that they care.
Well, they definitely care. I think it was Ian I was speaking to at the end who basically said like, oh, like for him, because people only come to him when something's gone wrong. Is like from my point of view, it's the whole like weekend's been a disaster because all I've heard is everybody's problems, and then we're chatting, and this is like Sunday, everything's done, it's like finished, and somebody walks past, one of the athletes walks past, and he's just like, "Oh, thanks so much, great comp," and he's like, "That's the first nice thing anyone said to me all weekend."
Oh. we can't leave this podcast without arguably the most important thing happening, like that was completely unannounced right at the end. So does anyone want to, do you want me to cue it up? I haven't got the video ready. In fact, we probably don't even have the rights to show it here, but Sam Briggs, there was a tribute to Sam Briggs right at the end.
Yeah, beautifully worded, I must say. Ollie, quite the wordsmith.
Yeah. Did you write that, didn't you? Did Tom, you write that? Which one of you wrote it?
Huh?
Did one of you write that for him or something? Is that what you're getting at?
No, there's a couple of things. So there's it's something I worked with Ollie on, right? So if and you can actually find it.
Oh, so someone's being humble. Tell us more.
So if you go on the CrossFit Strength, if you go on at Strength in Depth UK, there's a post with the picture of Sam, and you can kind of see the full text, which Ollie and I worked on together, including an actual quote from Ollie as well. So I think that's, yeah. But then, if you want to see the video, then it's the CrossFit Game site have posted it as a reel, so if you can get that up, then you can watch it. But it's, yeah, I mean, I recommend everyone watch it. It's kind of phenomenal, and I mean, it was cool that they decided they wanted to do that. And for me, like I say, I told you, I've loved trying to humanize the superhuman, is how I kind of captured it in my mind off the back of the weekend. But is that I was very fortunate to speak to Sam Briggs for a podcast before SiD, so then to kind of to kind of then have a small part in helping to kind of send her off was kind of cool as well.
Yeah, I think, like, again, talking about if you get the chance to go, if you can be that, like, I mean, that's one of those moments that will be, like, everyone will remember.
History.
It was the last competition. That was when sort of Sam kind of, in front of her home crowd, like, bowed out of the sport, like, like that is a moment that is now there, and we were there, and you got to experience it. So it's like those kind of things, as wonderful as an amazing performance on a workout is, like, there are only so many. Rochelle, stop being so nice to Tom.
Rochelle's posted in the chat. Tom is so humble.
Yeah.
The best, one of the best things about that was before. So this was, it was discussed in the meeting, and Ruffy was talking about trying to make. This is Claire, the media musketeers. Great job, guys, telling stories of UK CrossFit. You're priceless. Thank you. Bless you, Claire. It was amazing to have you there, and as a coach in our gym. But yeah, sorry, just quickly going back to that. Ruffy was saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to try and make her cry," and then he was like, "Actually, I don't think she's ever cried in her life." So then when it was actually happening, it started, like, Ollie sort of announced that it was going to happen, and everyone started clapping. And it felt like people were clapping for about 5 minutes. She got a standing ovation. Was it you, Tom? Was it you, Jason, that I turned to and went, are they going to do this until she starts crying, or it might? Because I know you're in the similar vicinity to me, but I turned and then I was like, no, definitely not. We should have run a book on whether she was going to cry or not, or when.
Yeah,
Nah. She didn't. Hard as
Still.
nails, mate. Hard as nails.
Never show weakness.
No, but it was really cool. I saw the hatchet that she got, and it was really cool. It was engraved. So I didn't get to see what was engraved on it. But the helmet that she had was signed by every volunteer. Unless I'm going to hear that you two didn't sign it, in which case.
No, I didn't sign it.
I didn't sign it. I saw it like on the floor.
Maybe all the judges or something, and I don't know who. Don't know who signed it.
All the volunteers they liked. Go on, you can say it, Sam. Was everyone in the picture of the volunteers? Did you all make it in?
Well, I mean, I was in it. I was stood at the back next to Stedders. Neither of us really volunteers, so.
We're going to talk because that's the classic one. Is whenever there's a picture for the volunteers, you always get people going, when was the picture taken?
Were you guys in that? Tom was definitely
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Well, you were in it, Jace,
Yeah. Tom.
So was Catherine.
Cool. Yeah. In fact, if you want to see where I am, find Catherine and look down. Like right in front of her. Yeah. There we go.
Right. Well,
and I'm pretty sure she wasn't volunteering either. So there you go.
That'd be a spoiler, wouldn't it?
But I mean, overall, it's been fantastic. Now, I know Tom is going to go. Before he goes, can we share one stat? Because he's a stats guy. Wheels has given us some stats. That is some judging stats. He says to show what goes into the Community Cup. Judges judged over 55,000 double unders, and he walked 50K in 3 days. So
that is a great stat.
There we go. Look to see. Oh, someone else has just jumped into it. Neil Scotcher of CrossFit Bath has just jumped in the chat. A load of the logistic crew signed the helmet. There you go. So, Neil, did you sign it? Interesting. Oh, the chat's blowing up now. David Chadwick.
That's Shuttlewood.
Yeah. Oh, he was on fire all weekend. Dual wielding cameras.
Oh baby! I swear he was taking 2 pictures at once. Like,
yeah. I'm surprised he's watching live. Cool. He said to me on the Friday, it's really weird to like hear my voice and see me at the same time because he usually listens to it in the car.
That's my final parting comment will be talking of is the role I played meant I was in the sitting in with all the like videographers and photographers and that media team, and it was amazing to see that happening in real time, how they're coordinating themselves, but equally just like to see these like shots just being kind of like created and captured in kind of real time was pretty cool, right? So you know that content will start to come out over the coming weeks, but yeah, that was kind of cool to see them just kind of capturing these amazing shots. So
nice.
Lots of good memories.
All right, well, thank you, Tom, for jumping on. I mean, your wife is truly a hero at this point.
I know, honestly. I was like, we were eating dinner and I was like, shall I mention it now? Shall I? And it went all right. So, but I'm going to surprise her. She's like, oh, you're normally on for at least 2 hours. So yeah, good to catch up, and we'll do it again.
Yeah. Well, all right, Tom, and I guess on behalf of us and everybody that benefited from your stats, give her our love as well. And
we'll do. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye. And then there were two.
And then
two and Rocket Power, who are like
Rocket Power
sending love in the comments
hi,
as well.
Rocket Power.
What?
I said hi, Rocket Power. Yeah.
Oh, I should have worn my Rocket Power t-shirt. He'll be very upset that I'm not.
I've just fluffy guy size.
Yeah, I reckon they do.
Oh, there you go. Rocket
Power.
Power.
It's nice stuff. If anyone's listening, Rocket Power, it's one of the softest t-shirts I've got. Actually, I really like it.
We're not sponsored, by the way.
I'm not sponsored by them.
He's actually being genuine.
I bought them with my own pennies, and no, and I always bump into them at the comps as well. Actually, what's a funny thing? He's got a story about somebody that now I can't even think who it was, but like one of the for them the first time they saw someone at SiD when it was a sanctional wearing like their t-shirt, and it was that moment of like, oh, this person's come to like the biggest event they're probably going to go to all year for CrossFit, and they've decided to wear our stuff, and like that was the like, oh man, great moment kind of thing. So yeah,
That's an epic moment.
I just want to say thank you to everyone that's joined us in the chat today. It's been great. I mean, maybe it's because we're talking about SiD, maybe it's because we've moved to Monday, so I guess next week will tell. But yeah, any kind of parting words, Sam, on your part from the weekend?
No, from the weekend, I think it really hits home how vast the community is. How well, speaking of how vast the community is, British Teams Masters qualifiers this weekend apparently.
Yes, Claire is correct. So the qualifiers are this weekend for the British Teen and Masters Championships, and so you can sign up to that. The in-person finals will be in September. I will be there working on at that competition as well. And I was thinking about the fact that the Masters are going to be doing their qualifiers next weekend. This weekend, when I was watching the Masters absolutely bury themselves in workouts, and I recognized quite a number of them because I was like, oh, they were all at the Masters Championship last year, including like some of the winners from SiD. And I was like, man, I hope they're leaving something in the tank. And I bumped into Kelly Friel in the vendor village as well, who obviously is a Masters athlete that will be heading to the games again this year. But she is also the owner of CrossFit Southampton, where the finals will be held. So thanks for the little tee up there, Claire. Appreciate that. Not as much as Emma Dean appreciates that, but
but yeah,
one other thing that I really like, unrelated sort of to SiD, but so obviously like traveling down. So we went to bed super late Thursday, drove up Friday morning, worked all day Friday, got back to the hotel quite late, stayed up recording a video. Like you can see the video. I am exhausted in this video.
I was still
Edited
up when you posted the video at like 2 a.m. I was like, what are you doing?
Posted the video at 2 a.m. and there was a part of me that thought, you're an idiot. But it was a video I'd been speaking to these adaptive athletes about before SiD, and I was like, I kept kind of pushing it back. I was like, I need to get this out. Saturday, the whole day, getting messages from adaptive athletes. It was great. And then had dinner with Rochelle in the evening, and I was telling her, do you know what, all day I've been getting messages from adaptive athletes, and during the meal I got a message from an adaptive athlete again, just like thanking me for that. I've had so many messages and so much extra information added that I have to make a part 2 video because it just doesn't stop. And on the note of getting messages, I just saw while we've been recording that someone has basically shared the video that we were talking about before, the one about the judges, because the judge in question is part of the box they go to.
Oh wow.
And a friend, and they were like, obviously, quite touched to see somebody sticking up for him. So nice. Lots of things are moving. I think Plate Stack Chat is stronger than ever. We've had, like, coming off of SiD has been great. I think we're going to have a lot of interesting content coming up over the next couple of weeks. So if you want to jump on, if you've got topics you want us to talk about, like, it's supposed to be it's Plate Stack Chat, it's like kind of the podcast for the community by the community. So if you want to jump on, shoot us a DM, send us a message, and we'll send you a link, and we'll get you on, right? Like, we're always happy to chat. Sam and I need to rest our voices.
I've got. I just got three last things. One of them, the first one is I've had like 15 messages from various people today saying, "Don't forget me when you're famous." That is not a thing. Personally, that is not a thing anybody should strive for. The only reason that I do what I do on the competition floor is because I love it and because it's something that I think I'm actually all right at in my life. There are very few things that I think that I'm pretty good at in the world. But talking on a microphone happens to be one of them. And I spent a lot of time training at drama school and a lot of money when I was younger to sort of learn the skills or hone the skills that you need for that. So I won't be forgetting anybody, especially I don't know if he's gone already, but Wheels.
Oh, I think he's still there.
Yeah, Wheels, you are and Craig McKerrigan and Matt Wilden are the two people who really pushed me into the scene. So Craig McKerrigan gave me my first heat ever on the in fact the second person. Matt Wilden gave me my first opportunity ever at a competition to MC. That was at the Renegade Games in 2019 when I had literally took my first step onto a competition floor as an MC for a cross for
Do you know what he
what
said on
was then a
Sunday?
CrossFit competition.
Were you, did he say it to you? I don't think
I
who he
have
said
no
it
idea.
to. On Sunday, like as we're getting ready to leave, and I'm standing there. I went because he'd said we had to have a picture together, so I've gone and found him, and we're standing there, and with like there's some of the volunteers, all of that, and he said like someone was talking about like us, the Plate Stack Chat, like the three of us, what we've been doing over the weekend, and Wes was like, yeah, and you know what? I gave Sam his first opportunity. He's here because of me. Like I made
He
him.
did. He
And
straight up did.
Yeah,
He
and then
straight up did, and that's
Sam,
why I will be
then he
there
turns
every
to
year.
me and he's like, "Jason's a self-made man."
Yeah, so he did. I emceed at his competition, and then you'll hear it. Europe is coming. There's a podcast coming out, which is being made at the moment, and I sort of talk about it a little bit on there, about the fact that this isn't the first time I've ever emceed at Strength in Depth. Just saying. I had one heat as I think Shona was in the loo or something in 2020, and they were. Craig was like, "We've got no MC.
I mean,
we need to
you've
start
been
right
spiking
now."
her drinks all weekend.
Yeah. The laxatives were working. But that was number one. I can't remember what number two was, but number three was you need to go. Yeah, so this is actually number two. So do follow Jason, because this is sort of a merger of channels, isn't it, tonight? So we've got Jason CF Media and Plate Stack Chat. So do go and follow. If you're on one or the other, make sure you cross platforms, because Jason is putting out all sorts of incredible content. This one is just sort of a rambling and amusings of three guys, the three media tears. Hashtag not the real media tears. That maybe that's our hashtag.
Sounds like a new t-shirt's coming.
Yeah, but do drop some love in the comments for your favorite athletes, favorite moments of the weekend, favorite funny things that were said on the broadcast, either by me or Shona or Sophie or anyone, Tommy, Mads or Bibar or whoever. This has been so fun, and I'm so stoked, and I'm so ready for bed.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. If you tuned in for a analytical discussion of the 6 events of elite individuals and elite teams, I'm really sorry that we didn't even touch on them hardly at all, but that's what everybody else spoke about. We just wanted to come and share kind of our experience being on the floor, what we saw, what we enjoyed, and thank you everyone that jumped in on the comments, because that's it's incredible, because again it's just highlighting that the community was there. And I felt a little bit guilty sometimes, a little bit sad actually, because you could see how much the community was there, because like Zach George, Sam Briggs, like the cheers these guys were getting, and then they'd call like another athlete and it would be like
or Zach Wild as I commentated. I called Zach George Zach Wild. I didn't even realize. Got pulled up on that one after, which was quite funny. But do make sure, if you like this one, do make sure you go back. We've got a whole back catalogue all the way back to the beginning on Spotify.
Back before we had the courage to go live, but we had the time to edit.
Yeah. Bless you
all right, well, thank you everyone, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget, Monday, not Wednesday. So Sam, take us out.
Bless you. I've been Sam. He's been Jason. You've been awesome. Plate Stack Chat out.